Hey everybody, this is PD from the Spinner Rack, and I'm going back trying to chase some hot books, trying to find something hot in my collection that I can do that's not a trade because it's harder to do these trades and these things. So I decided to pull out not Wolverine Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., I'm pulling out Wolverine Enemy of the State, right? This is fairly popular, which got the stamp of Marvel Knights on it to be, this is well after Marvel Knights, but get the stamp of approval that Quesada is behind it. He's pretty much running the show at this point. And what can I say about this, right? Because it's in issue 20, so the series was already going on. But, I think the only thing to say is Daredevil was the big success for Marvel Knights. There was a couple others that came later, but their initial success came from the Daredevil series, the Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Punisher, all that stuff really wasn't as big. They had some stuff later. Maybe Black Widow was okay, but it was it J.G. Jones, and then they had some stuff where they were pulling Mike Millar in to do Spider-Man. There's a Marvel Knights Spider-Man, which I think is with was it Terry and Rachel Dodson. I think they were the artists on that. And then we also have this, right? Now this firmly cemented Mark Millar as the guy. I think he's already done Ultimate X-Men, but there was a thread that was going within his work that I had to bring up. That they were seemingly old plots from old Byrne and Claremont interviews, because it was kind of weird, because I was, as anyone that you're reading these comic books, in the back of your head, you're going to be writing the comic books, right? So you're stockpiling this, you're reading interviews, you're trying to get everything so you can kind of understand the characters more. And as like Byrne, Claremont, all these guys, sometimes they throw out some ideas in these interviews where they give you some bits. And to start with, we have Civil War, which was a bit which was Mark Millar's thing, which was a bit that I think Byrne was talking about in his what's that thing? It was called it was in the Art of John Byrne, where he was talking about it and saying there'll be a Mutants Registration Act where heroes would have to sign up, where the X-Men would be kind of against it, and then the Avengers, who are like sanctioned heroes, would possibly have to be, make the decision. Now, Chris Claremont had played out the Mutant Registration Act a couple times, but never fully did the story, and I think they played it up in the Axe of Vengeance in the Fantastic Four, where Reed Richards fought against it. Mark Millar did the Superhero Registration Act, which put all the heroes on opposite sides of the fence, and that's how we got it. So there was similarities to that. So okay, maybe that's a little different. And then you had Ultimate X-Men, where it's a story where Wolverine is the newbie, just like the movies, but the similarity is more to the what if story. What if Wolverine killed the Hulk? In that story, Wolverine is dropped from the Canadian Secret Service, and Magneto picks him up and says, I want you to infiltrate the X-Men. And that is the plot of Ultimate X-Men #1, right? So Enemy of the State, as I like to say, is no different, right? So Chris Claremont, one of his big plans when he got Jim Lee on the book was that, hey, you know what should happen? He pitched it to Bob Harris and said, I want to do Wolverine, Assassin of the Hand, right? Where I do a story where we kill Wolverine and then he's resurrected by the Hand, and he ultimately, is a villain for like a year or so. And Bob Harris rejected it, saying, well, what would Larry Hama do with this? And he said, well, you play Wolverine as a villain for a year, He said, but shouldn't the lead book kind of lead what the other series, would dictate what happens in the other series? And they kind of pushed it away. But that is the basic idea of enemy to the state, right? So but at the same time, one of the good things is that Joe Quesada is a big fan of John Romita Jr., and he's putting him on really primo projects, right? When, I mean, John Romita Jr. was doing the X-Men in the 80s, so he was getting the royalties. He's on primo projects. He was on Spider-Man. Iron Man at that time wasn't a big title, but he got to do the premiere New Universe title, which was a bust, but at least he got the premiere of that title. He went to do Daredevil when and that gained his footing back, and then post that he went back to the X-Men. So he's always been on primo books, but one of the things that he wanted to do was Wolverine, right? And when he called up Frank Miller while he was doing Iron Man with John Byrne, he said, "Let's do a Wolverine, mini," and that's how we. And Frank Miller said, "No, let's do, what's that thing? Let's do Daredevil." I got a year one story, so they did that. That was a huge success, and as a contingency, they did this series. Not them, not This is actually, I think it's Howard Mackey and John Romita Jr. But he did this crossover, Hearts of Darkness, and do they say who wrote it? I want to make sure it's Howard Mackey, but Howard Mackey was the Ghost Rider guy at the time. So this is the trifecta of Ghost Rider, Wolverine, and Punisher. They were the key to success in that 90s period. You could do Wolverine, you could do Ghost Rider, and this would lead you to your maximum numbers. At some point, it kind of dried up for Punisher and Ghost Rider, and possibly the X-Men too. But it's not saying. It had to be Howard Mackey, right? Okay, the back. All right, yeah. So Howard Mackey was the writer of this, right? So you got to do this one shot, big crossover, big money, that sort of thing, right? So Mark Millar, I think Mark Millar, besides Quesada wanted John Romita on this, I believe Mark Millar wanted John Romita Jr. So this was filling out that Jones that he had, right? So we have something similar where we start in Japan and we have this sort of thing, and I believe, we set the tone that Wolverine shows up, and there's this little bit of subplot that's going on, that Wolverine is going to this little bit of subplot that's going on, and Wolverine's a little bit handsomer in this series, and he's not someone where you look at when John Romita's doing him in the X-Men, he was keeping the face that he kind of sort of had, that sort of gruff look, and now he still kind of looks gruff, but he's a little more handsome, right? So he goes out he's going to this funeral. The art is just amazing, right? And they have this actually deal that goes on, right? It's classic stuff, motion and tone. And then Wolverine, the action happens. The hand comes out there. There's a ton of stuff that's happening. It's just cool. I don't want to get into any particulars. This is mainly trying to see how they just sort of play. This kind of set the tone. I don't know if it set the tone, but Image had already pushed away from dialogue, where you get little bits of dialogue on the side just to get you some emotion. But a lot of times when writers use a lot of dialogue in these action scenes, they're just trying to slow it up. And I think even in the Wolverine miniseries, the only reason why Chris Claremont didn't do a lot of dialogue when Frank Miller gave him all those open scenes, because Chris Claremont was trying to do something similar to Miller's dialogue. Stop it. Get out of here. Go. Don't jump up. Right? So Wolverine, of course, makes short work of all these guys, all the skills. He got this, he's just mowing through these guys, all this classic stuff, right? And he's still looking for the kid, right? He's on the search, and he's just being brutal, still pretty handsome. The hair isn't set up like it used to be. It's just kind of long and messy, but at the same time, someone sneaks up on him, He says, nobody's that fast. The Gorgon is that fast. The Gorgon is this silent. He said, just in case you were wondering what happened to the boy, I fed him to our pigs. Right? A little bit of Claremont, get up, run. Heal, you will run, heal. Right? Wolverine gets it. Right? And the sun, here we go. We're back to where the sun is. We realize that he's gone, and we got Kitty out here. And he's trying to, obviously, he's trying to find out where Wolverine is, right? Let's say our boy is dead, right? We have all these people that are dead, and we get Nick Fury in here, and then we get someone here that we probably recognize, right? And this is one of the series where basically you can see the ninjas are the top fighters on the planet, right? Unless Wolverine's fighting them. And they just found Wolverine in South America, right? So we actually revealed it. It's actually Elektra, right? Elektra's back. And I'm not sure how this thing is going to go, right? There's Wolverine. They say he's not looking too good. And then something sent him to say, trying to push him to kill somebody, right? And of course he does. Oh, goodness. So this thing is going to be a brutal book, right? And of course, for some reason, she has to take out this thing. He's here. And then that's our start, right? So you got Millar, Romita, Jr., and Janson, right? So this is a big fight in the basically in these types of stories, you know, the SHIELD agents are cannon fodder. You're not going to get much story out of this. You're just going to get some cool fights. And he just mows through that, but of course he can't mow down Elektra because, you know, she's a character that ultimately she should, but since they're both ninjas, they kind of even out. The same thing they do when Wolverine fights the Punisher, when that actually shouldn't happen, right? So then she finds a way to kind of slow him down. Then, of course, this is one of the bits that happen in this story where Wolverine is stopped, but then something else happens to help him out, right? And this is an explosion on the ship, and then Wolverine is free to react. Nice try. She stops him again. She's a little bit faster than he is. But then at the same time, the water comes in, right? So, of course, that's helping him get free. Get off of this, right? And this is this really nice, dramatic stuff where you basically don't even need to read the story. It's just nice and clean. Ultimately, you know, I mean, yeah, I don't think it's just the right amount of dialogue. It's just cool and fun, him having this. You throw in these sharks, which I don't know if Wolverine's fast enough to deal with sharks, but he has the claws to help himself out. But yeah, look at this. Oh my goodness, right? And then they're playing, you know, basically they've now figured out that Wolverine is, in somebody's hand and someone's controlling him, right? So basically, he's going to be a little terror throughout the rest of this thing. And then the Baxter building's here, and nice rain scenes, some really nice effects. They have a shield somehow on this, but of course, somehow Wolverine got in here. Now, this would be cool if Wolverine, they're going to reveal something else that's going on here, which kind of throws the plot, to the left, right? That I struggle with. But we have Wolverine versus the Fantastic Four, right? And this is something I've been wanting John Romita to do, and he's only done maybe a couple things with the FF. He's done one shot. They've been in the Hulk thing, but we get to see that. We get Johnny working on a car, Ben and him having a little bit of banter. This is kind of a throw to Kirby's, what's the name, the Whiz Wagon with that, and we have more on the bad guys that have Wolverine in their control, right? So that's the basic premise, which you can see, and they have connected. It's almost similar to the Armor Wars 2, but let's keep going, right? So they're doing all these scientific studies, Reed's checking on this stuff, and they're going, and then, of course, what usually happens with the Baxter building is everyone's able to sneak in there with no problem, except for a couple times when Byrne was doing it, where he finally put a security system that's able to stop people, right? And he realized it's been hacked, right? So they're trying to get something out of the Baxter building, and here we go. We get him. Should be over with, right? But the problem is, he's utilizing the Baxter building to his advantage, right? He's talking and using the stuff that's in there, and that's really a little too wacky, right? So it's almost giving him another power, right? Instead of, which is wacky to me. So this is like, all right, we've had a fight between them on the X-Men versus the Fantastic Four mini between Wolverine and Ben. But here we have a fight that's going on. Ben, this is just real dynamic. It's going well, and this one have a storytelling moment that always kind of crushes these stories, because John Romita Jr. is like one of the best storytellers, right? That he stabs Ben, and then Ben, he just stabs him in the shoulder, and he's down on the floor. Like, what happened? Right? That's not enough to take out Ben, right? So he's going about his business. Then, of course, they have Reed. So Reed get it here. He makes himself so pliable that he can't be cut. But then Wolverine is teleporting. So it's like, so it gives him another power, right? So that is the flaw of the series, but it makes it a little more dynamic, right? Because Wolverine can basically win now. He can't be held in the cage. It can't stop him. This right here, this is shades of when Eric Larson was doing Wolverine, where Wolverine was the toughest guy and could fight anybody. There's nothing in Wolverine's warehouse, even his healing factor, that can help him survive fighting with the Human Torch, right? It just doesn't work, right? So Johnny survives, Wolverine gets away, but you actually realize it's Baron Strucker, right? So you get some cool callbacks to some great characters. I'm not sure how I'm going to get through all this in time, right? We're definitely not getting to Wolverine Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. We're just going to have one tidbit about that, right? So yeah, I'm just getting to the action. We're not going to get to this story because it's, right? So he survives the fight, actually does pretty well against the Fantastic Four, which most people do when they visit the Baxter building. Somehow, with all the tech stuff, they can get hacked and not figure it out, right? And they realize Hydra's involved, right? So I think Elektra. This is kind of shades of what's that thing of the Daredevil series? What if Daredevil was Agent of Shield and we had Hydra being involved and whatnot? So we have all this cool stuff here, and then of course, almost shades of Elektra Lives Again. Then we have another big fight with some cannon fodder ninjas, just to show you how cool she is, which is always fun, right? Cup of Joe, which we won't rereading. And then we got all this cool stuff, right? But then this had the big showdown. No, this isn't going to be a big showdown yet, right? So we got through it. Did we? We get the X-Men. They're starting to try to figure out where Wolverine is too, right? So, and Morlun comes back. And Captain America even joins in there, but they're not figuring out what's going on with Wolverine. They got him butchering all these people, right? And this is coming to the wackiest part of the story yet. Oh, they come and Wolverine comes to Daredevil. But you have to remember that Daredevil is a ninja also. So it won't be easy for him to take him out, right? So we have, I think, 2 more issues. How long are we at? We're at 21 minutes. We're doing good, guys. All right? So yeah, this is a good one just to explore the visuals, right? So we got that to him. Pulls out his claws. Remember, Daredevil is ninja, so it's equal strength, right? But at the same time, oh, Elektra movie too, right there, bang. Looks can kill, right? So she does a shot, which helps Matt Murdock get his opening, right? And of course, he dodges all the bullets. He grabs a sword. He's doing this stuff. He's not someone that's going to. But then Morlun shows up, right? But Elektra is ready. She shoots from behind. Then Morlun is dodging bullets while she's taking out more things. It's just a big, nice action story. This is still in gorgeous art. I still get takeoff points for a couple of things, teleporting and hacking into the system. But yeah, here we go. Wolverine wasn't fast as Morlun. We have Elektra ready to handle business. Daredevil's still handling business also, and he's using all of his skill to take out the rest of these guys. And obviously, John Romita Jr. knows how to handle Daredevil too. Now this is where you get your maximum John Romita Jr. doing a sort of character doesn't fly, and not that too many characters. I mean, he used to do the millions of characters, but it just seemed better with with a little bit of characters, and you can just get this cool sort of fight scenes, right? So you can see Daredevil's kind of able to, not get hit by the claws. Don't forget that. Oh, sweat. In this part where he doesn't gut him, he should have, is kind of, I don't know, he's not showing any sort of resistance. Right? So, oh no, he hit him with the thing, he goes back. But Morlun, he said our agent may or may not have killed Murder, but it doesn't matter now. So now he's kind of giving it to Elektra, right? Because this is the big bad guy in this story, And oh my good, he takes out Elektra, right? And Wolverine's been stabbed. Looks like it's through the heart. It's like, oh no, something bad's gonna happen, all this plan was to go after the president, right? He's telling the whole story supposedly, but Wolverine once again is teleported out of there, right? No. Here we go with Elektra again. So we get to our last thing. It's not going to matter because ultimately the events that happen in this story is forgotten when we get to the next one, right? So we get into Xavier's thing. I think this is... Oh, this is supposed to be Kitty. Looks like Jean, right? It's hard. I can't really tell who these people are. And it's Rachel, the other Rachel. Yeah, I don't know. This is kind of tough. When the X-Men, can't really tell who these characters are. And then we have Wolverine. He takes off. We got the movie effects, the Cerebro. That sort of thing is thrown in there, right? And then we get John Romita Jr., his style of Iron Man, which is kind of blocky, which is always cool. And it gets her to do a thing. Sorry, we're not getting any heavy sort of things. I haven't read this one in a long time. We're just going for the visuals, which is cool. And it seems like Mark Millar's doing some economy of dialogue, which is not. So Rachel's able to do her thing and kind of push back, but all the X-Men are ready to kind of join in here. So it's going to be a big romp fight with the X-Men now, all right? Get all these truth bad ads. Sorry about the bad truth ads, guys. And then, of course, Wolverine is using... Oh, God. Just so nuts. But it's visually strong. I got to give it to him. Utilizing the man, went through the mansion with the Blackbird, right? So the X-Men is going out there and just messing up everything, right? The SHIELD agents, they got to take down some more SHIELD agents. Hits Havoc. Oh my goodness. How can you hit Havoc's power? Sorry. Oh my goodness. He's taking out, then that's the thing, teleporting and taking out the X-Men where the X-Men aren't working together. Ultimately, I'm not with North Star being on the team. So, goes after Kitty Pryde. And this is a speedster. I'm sorry. I know you just the lowest common denominator who to kill, but it doesn't work for me. But anyway, let's keep going, all right? Then Cyclops and Kitty take him, but he gets teleported away. But then they've already stopped everyone who he was going to go to. And they said, heal this, right? And then the oddest part of the story for me, when they realize that North Star is dead, their plans are ruined, but they're going to have a backup plan, right? And then Nick Fury says the nuttiest thing ever. We got our little killing machine back, and then we get to Wolverine Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? So, there's some ups and downs, but visually, this is, I had to buy it. I had some issues with this, had some issues with the fight here, but this one, I can't really say too much besides the gorgeous art. I think Jim Valentino and Rob Liefeld did the Wolverine What If, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so it's one of those things where all the what ifs were becoming real. Bucky becoming Captain America, stuff like that. So here, we just got a romp. Since I'm going to get back to try to get some hot books in here instead of not just the stuff that I love. Because I already gave you the Giant Man thing. And hopefully you guys suffered through the art. But the great story, it's kind of hard to do a video about a great story when you have the art that you can struggle through. But this one, you get to do just visuals, which is really cool, right? storytelling is pretty clean, except for the shot where the thing falls out. He has his feigning spell, and maybe some point we'll do this series. But this turned into the thing where everyone becomes Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. We had She-Hulk, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., possibly Squirrel Girl, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was just something that became cliche. So I have to give credit where credit is due. They already had Rob Liefeld and who's that? Rob Liefeld and Jim Valentino. Jim Valentino and Rob Liefeld did it first. So I guess that's about it. Spinner Rack out.